F1 Manager 2023 is out now across PC, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox One and Xbox Series X and S, with Frontier Development's sophomore entry in its F1 Manager series building on the solid foundations of last year's F1 Manager 2022. Although much of the gameplay will be familiar to 22 players, 23 offers up a few new interesting features that warrant a slightly different approach to a race weekend. So, if you want to be more Christian Horner than Otmar Szafnauer, check out our top F1 Manager 2023 tips and tricks. Driver confidence is a new game mechanic for F1 Manager 2023, where a driver's race preparations contribute to an overall confidence figure that affects their race day performance. Here are a few key areas you need to look at to improve driver confidence and ensure your team nails the best possible result. First of all, track acclimatization. This is a simple stat to influence. Simply instruct your driver to run as many laps as possible to enhance their track knowledge. Longer runs increase this stat quicker, so get your setup sorted as quickly as possible before getting out on track for a whole practice session. This leads us nicely on to setup satisfaction. Achieving an optimal setup is key to boosting your driver's confidence. F1 Manager 2023 borrows 22's simple setup minigame wholesale, with 5 aspects of car setup affecting 5 areas of driver feedback. Altering each setup slider affects how close to the optimal zone of driver setup satisfaction you can get, with practice laps helping narrow down the range that you need to aim for. Setup tweaks greatly affect specific areas of driver confidence. So, for example, rear wing angle has the greatest effect on straight line speed, while anti-roll bar changes drastically affects traction. The front wing angle changes oversteer, whilst tyre camber changes cornering, and toe out changes the braking stability. As a rule of thumb, aim to get straights nailed down first by balancing your front and rear wing angle settings, with help from tyre camber changes to balance the oversteer. Then, adjust your anti-roll bars to optimise traction, with toe out the last change required thanks to its minimal effect on the rest of the setup. You can fettle your setup by obtaining driver feedback. This occurs in 5 stages to match the 5 aspects of car setup, with it taking around 20 minutes of running to gather the full gamut of feedback. This means you can do 2 full setup evaluations in every single practice session. Moving away from the setup elements, we also have car parts knowledge. Put simply, whenever you introduce newly developed car parts to your team, your drivers will require a little bit of time to get on top of them. Increase this stat by allowing your drivers more time behind the wheel. Simple. A new feature of F1 Manager 2023 is the affinity stat between race engineers and drivers. So drivers with historical relationships with past engineers will carry a higher affinity, increasing morale and, crucially, driver confidence. Pairing drivers with compatible race engineers can therefore make it easier to renew their contracts, as well as potentially improving race day results. Affinity can also be built up between drivers and engineers over time, so don't panic by bidding a good engineer or driver simply to get short-term buffs. A final tip for improving confidence is getting your driver to perform personal best sectors and laps out on the track. Fastest overall laps are handy too if you can get them. Completing overtakes also enhances confidence, just like being overtaken does the opposite. And the chances of performing a successful overtake are influenced by your driver's confidence level, meaning if you don't pay attention to the previously noted game mechanics, then your drivers will suffer in races. There are different optimal temperatures for every compound of tyre used. It's easy to spot whether your tyres are too cold or too hot by noting the colour of the temperature indicator. Blue equals cold tyres, red equals hot, and white means your tyres are in their optimum range. Keeping your tyres in this optimal temperature range is crucial as it helps prevent higher tyre wear and grip loss. It also prevents brake lockups and puncture-causing flat spots. To increase tyre temperatures, ask your drivers to increase their pace. To lower tyre temperatures, do the opposite. Generally, hard compound tyres can withstand more aggressive driving for longer, while soft tyres need to be more carefully managed. The effects of tyre temperatures in 23 aren't as severe as hoped, however, as it's possible to push soft tyres past their optimal range and still maintain performance. They'll wear out quicker, but you can factor this into your tyre strategy. Seen as a slightly superfluous addition to 22, scouts are a much required feature in 23, thanks to it now being possible to negotiate properly with potential staff targets. Opting for a full 30-day scouting operation on your mark will unlock information on their salary, signing bonus preference and contract length, meaning you can potentially negotiate a successful deal in fewer attempts. After all, too many attempts will wear out your target's patience, and then it's bye-bye Bono. That's what happens when you take negotiations too close to the edge. I'll see myself out. As well as working on track acclimatization, setup, and car parts knowledge stats, official practice sessions are a great opportunity to save tyres for the race and maximise your available powertrain components. Every team in F1 receives an allocation of 3 engines, 2 ERS units, and 5 gearboxes per season. These wear out over time, and if you go over your allowance, this will result in grid penalties. You can either take the hit or minimise the wear on new parts by swapping them out for old ones during practice sessions. Decrease the wear further by instructing your drivers to drive less aggressively and avoid nasty gearbox splitting curbs too. It's a menial task to swap the parts out between practice and qualifying, but should be worth it towards the end of the season as your opponents end up starting the Brazilian Grand Prix from somewhere in Norwich. Another tip for practice sessions is to not let the AI take control. Sure, it's a time-consuming bore having to manually take charge of these, but if you leave it to the AI, your drivers will end up with paltry confidence figures, and no amount of desk bagging can fix that. Race Replay is one of the best new features in F1 Manager 2023. Race Replays contain 2 separate types of scenario, race moments and starting grids. Starting grid scenarios play out like a normal race, minus all the day-to-day F1 management gubbins. However, race moments are a snapshot of a crucial point in a race. Race moments see you dropped in at the turning point of a race, so whatever you decide to do it quickly. Take Fernando's gamble as an example. You're parachuted in as the rain starts to fall in the Monaco Grand Prix, so now's the time to act fast and bring Fernando Alonso in for intermediates. Instruct him to push like crazy from the get-go to ensure he emerges in the lead after Max Verstappen also switches to wet weather rubber. If you don't commit heavily to the pit stop and aggressive driving straight away, it's scenario over and you'll need to restart. Likewise with the exclusive scenario Tactical Masterclass. As soon as it starts, sacrifice George Russell and let Lewis Hamilton overtake. Leave Russell out long enough on fading tyres to slow down the chasing Red Bulls, ensuring Hamilton has a big enough gap ahead to hold on for the win. Whichever scenario you try, make sure to act as decisively and aggressively as possible. There's no point looking after the car or worrying about crashes. You've only got one shot at a result. And if you don't succeed, simply restart and try again until you do. At the moment, soft tyres appear to be the compound of choice for races, easily hanging on in terms of endurance and performance, so try to include at least 1 or 2 stints on softs in every race. Running in clean air is also much more advantageous in 23, thanks to the way cars duel side by side for laps at a time, holding each other up. Sometimes it's better to get out of traffic to focus on your own pace to perform an undercut pit stop strategy. And then there's the ERS Battle Assist. Manually changing your ERS strategy was a bit of a nuisance in 22, so for 23, Frontier Developments has added an ERS Battle Assist helping hand. This allows the game to automatically control the level of ERS use on your cars, depending on their situation. So, in an overtaking duel, the AI will use more of your car's battery to attack or defend, all without your intervention. It's a handy tool, but sometimes manual intervention with the overtake button is what's needed to get the job done. And that just about rounds off our tips and tricks for F1 Manager 2023. Have you been having a good time with the new game? Let us know in the comments below. Subscribe to the Traxion channel for more guide content like this in the future. Whether it's an F1 Manager game or any kind of racing game, we'll be here to help. Until next time, thanks for watching, keep it pinned, and good luck.